Hi everyone, this is Bakapa Chincholikar. Welcome back to Test Automation Tool Selenium. Agenda for the today's video session is what are OOPS concepts, what is inheritance, different types of inheritance, and with an example I'll be explaining you. And the last concept is method overriding. OOPS concepts is nothing but some object-oriented concepts that are exist in the OOPS we are using in the Java programming languages. There are four types of object-oriented programming languages concepts I'll be using in Java programming language. The first one is inheritance, second one is polymorphism, the third one is abstraction, the fourth one is encapsulation. In today's video session, I will be covering what is inheritance and different types of inheritance. Inheritance is a mechanism. It acquires the properties of the superclass just by using the keyword called extends. In inheritance, I'll be using two terms. The first one is superclass or a base class or a parent class. The class from which the subclass is derived, it is called the superclass. The second term is a subclass or a derived class or a extended class or a child class. A class that is derived from the another class, that is called subclass here. By using the inheritance, you can achieve the code reusability. There are 5 types of inheritance in Java programming language. The first one is single inheritance. Second one is multi-level inheritance. The third one is hierarchical inheritance. The fourth one is multiple inheritance. I will explain you with an diagram. The first one is single inheritance. For this inheritance, I am explaining you with an example. You know the family relations, their father and son. A son can inherit the properties like color, behavior, etc., etc. Here father, it is a base class here and the son is a subclass here. Single inheritance enables a derived class to inherit the properties and behavior from the parent class. Here it is nothing but it inherits the properties of father class here. This kind of inheritance we call as single inheritance. I'll give one example for this single inheritance. Here I have created one project called session 6. Under that I have created 3 more packages. Under inheritance I am creating one class called single inheritance. Just inherit the main method here and click on finish button. Just these are not required, just delete that. As per the diagram, I will be defining the class here. The first class is the father class here. Here I'll give one variable of type string called color. I'll assign some value to the color. Just I'll give white. In this father class I'll define one more class called, sorry, not class, one more method called just test, just confirming this class is running. Here I will print one statement, running under father class, and that is it for the father class. The base class I have defined already. I need to define the subclass called son. In this son class, just I'll define one method called run. Here I will print some statement called running under son class. As per the diagram, we have defined two classes. You can achieve the inheritance just by using the extends keyword. I'll show you the syntax for achieving the single inheritance. You need to define the superclass first. In this statement, class is a keyword here. It is a user defined class name. We have defined as father here. And the second thing is you need to define one more subclass. That is just by using the keyword called class and the class name here. You need to define the extends keyword. After that, you need to enter the class name here. That is the superclass name. This is the syntax that follows it for the single inheritance. Just I need to use the extends keyword here for inherit the properties from the father class. I'm giving the superclass name here. That is it for the single inheritance. In the main method, just I will create the object of the son class. Object1 equal to new. Just by using the reference object of son class, I am accessing the members. Actually, I have not declared the color variable in the son class. Still, I am able to access because I have used the keyword called extends here. I am accessing the variable called color. I am putting the semicolon. This is returns me for in terms of string. So just I will store it in terms of string only. Result. Here I will mention the variable name. I will print that just by using the system.out.println. The color is in this statement I am printing the value of the result variable, and I can access the methods of the superclass, that is a test. Here you need to enter the object reference dot, you need to enter the test name here. This is the syntax for accessing the methods in the Java programming language. You need to enter the semicolon at the end. Run this program. Yes, you are getting the right result. Color is white and running under father class. That is it for the single inheritance. The second type of inheritance is multi-level inheritance. I will explain you with an diagram here. In this type of inheritance, in which the class inherited from the another subclass. Here son is a one class, father is another class, and grandfather is another class here. In this example, if subclass inherits the properties of the another subclass called father here. This kind of inheritance we call as multi-level inheritance. I'll show you with an example. Before that, I'll show you what is the syntax for this. You need to use the class keyword here followed by superclass name, and the second thing is again you need to define the class keyword and the followed by subclass name. You need to use the extends keyword followed by the superclass name. The third thing is again you need to define the class keyword and the class name of the subclass, and again you need to define the subclass by using the extends keyword. In Eclipse, I'll show you how to achieve multi-level inheritance. Just I'll copy this program, I'll paste it under the multi-level inheritance package. I'll rename it into multi-level inheritance. Click on finish. Here also you need to click on finish button. It is already written for the single inheritance. Just I'll add one more class called grandfather. Here I'll define one method called print, just for confirming whether this grandfather class is running or not. Here I'll print one statement, just running under grandfather class. Here I need to inherit the properties of grandfather class. Just go to the diagram. I have to inherit the properties of grandfather to the father class. Here I have inherited by using the extends keyword. In the son class, I need to inherit the properties of the subclass called father here. Here I have inherited the properties of the father class here into the son class. Let us access all the methods that are exist in the grandfather class and father class and son class also. Here I have already created the object of the son class. And I have already access to the father class method. I'll access to the grandfather class method called print obj1 dot object1 dot. You need to mention the method name here. Just you need to enter a semicolon at the end of the statements. Here again I'll access to the sons class method called run obj1 dot run. Put semicolon at the end of the statements. Run this program. Yes, you are able to access all the methods that are exist in the grandfather class and the father class and the son class here. Can you see the output here? Running under the father class, running under the grandfather class, and the running under the son class. That is it for the multi-level inheritance. The third one is hierarchical inheritance. I will explain with an image. In this type of inheritance, more than one class derived from the single base class. Here, father is a base class here, and the son 1 and son 2 and son 3, you can define a number of subclasses in this type of inheritance. I'll show you the syntax. You need to define the one superclass. Again, you need to define one subclass. You have to inherit the properties of the superclass. The third thing you need to do is, again, you need to define one more subclass. For that also you need to inherit the properties of the superclass only. I will show you with an example. Just I'll copy this single inheritance. I'll paste it under the multi-level inheritance. I'll rename it into hierarchical inheritance. Sorry, I told that is multi-level inheritance, that is hierarchical inheritance. Just click on finish button and finish button here. Open that class. In this class, go to the diagram. I have defined one father class and three subclasses called sun1 and sun2 and sun3. Here I will define one father class and one more sun class. I will define only two subclass. I will mention the class name called sun1. Yes, sun1, instead of sun1 I have defined sun class. For sun2 I have defined the class called sun1. Here I will make some changes. I will make changes to the method 1 2 3, run 1 2 3, and here I will print the statement sun1 class. Here sun class also can access the properties of father class. Sun1 class also can access the properties of the father class. Object is already created in the single inheritance. A sun class has already accessed the object properties of the superclass called father. Just run this program. Yes, it is sun class is able to access the properties of the superclass called father class. And the same way I will create the object for the sun1 class. Just I will make changes to the class. I will define object 2. This is also result 1. This should be result 2. Still it is showing some error. That should be result 1. Just run this program whether sun1 is able to access the properties of the superclass called father class. Yes, it is able to access the properties of superclass. It is printing a color and it is executing the method called father under father class called test method here. That is it for the hierarchical inheritance. The fourth type of inheritance is multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance is not supported by Java. I will show you in upcoming video session how to overcome the problem of multiple inheritance in Java programming language while discussing in interface concept. The last concept for this video session is method overriding. Method overriding can be defined as a subclass has the same method as declared in the base class. It is known as the method overriding. In other words, I can say it as a subclass that provides the specific implementation of the method that has provided by the base class. There are 3 rules for achieving the method overriding. A method must have the same as in the base class, and the second rule is method must have the same number of parameters as in the base class, and the third rule is it must be involved in is a relationship concept. Is a relationship is nothing but inheritance concept. Here I will create one class called method overriding. Inherit the main method. Click on generate comments checkbox and click on finish button. Just delete all those things not required. Just now only I have told you, for achieving the method overriding you should use the concept of is a relationship, nothing but inheritance concept. For that I will use the single inheritance. I will define one class called sample1. Under that I will define one method called calculation. I will define 2 parameters for that, number 1 and another parameter is number 2. For that I will do some addition operation and I will return it. That is it for the sample1 class. The second class is sample2. I need to use the concept of inheritance here. Just I am inheriting the properties of sample1 class. In this class I have told just before the rules for the method overriding. Method must have the same name as in the base class and method must have the same number of parameters. So here just I will copy this entire method and I will paste it under the sample2 class. You can provide the specific implementations in the subclass. So here in this sample2 class I am doing multiplication operation in the sample2 class. I am creating the object for the sample1 class and sample2 class also. Object1 equal to new sample1 by using the reference variable of sample1 class. I am accessing the method called calculations. Here I will pass the numbers, some 20 and 30 here. That is it for the sample1 class. Actually that returns me the integer type of value. Just I will store it in the variable called result add variable. I will print it in the system.out.println statement. Addition of two numbers is, just I will give the variable name which I store the result in. Again I will create one more object for the sample2 class. Just I am copying the result and I am printing it here. You need to define the different reference variable for this. Again, for you have to call to the calculation methods here. In the second line I am calling to the calculation method from the sample2 class. This should be multiplication of two numbers. From the sample1 class I should get the result for the addition purpose, and the sample2 class should return me the value of multiplication of two numbers. Let us execute this program. Can you see the output? The first addition of two numbers is 50 and the second multiplication of two numbers is 600. That is correct result. That is it for the method overriding. I think I have covered all the concepts for the today's video session. If you have any queries, please drop me an email to the bakkappac@gmail.com, or else you can send out an WhatsApp message to the 8431253007. Please do subscribe and like if you like this video. Thanks for watching.